Have you noticed that right before your biggest blessing arrives, life suddenly feels like it's falling apart? The things you once trusted feel unsteady. The people you counted on grow distant. Opportunities that used to flow now seem to dry up. You look around and wonder, God, why does everything feel so uncertain? But listen, this isn't the end. This isn't punishment. This is preparation. When I'm getting ready to elevate you, I shake the ground beneath your feet, not to break you, but to move you. I loosen your grip on what is familiar so you can step into what is greater. The discomfort you feel, that's not chaos. That's confirmation. You're outgrowing old rooms. You're being lifted out of places your spirit no longer fits. The doors closing around you aren't rejection, they're protection. I'm clearing the path, removing what can't go with you, making space for what you've been praying for. So when everything begins to shift, don't fear. Draw closer. Trust me, because if life feels unstable right now, it means you are closer to your breakthrough than you realize. Sign 1. Your faith is being tested to the core. When God is preparing to give you something big, the very first and often the most painful sign you will experience is this. Your faith will be tested to its absolute limits. This isn't the kind of test that feels mild or manageable. It's the kind of shaking that leaves you wondering if you're even going to make it through. It's a storm that hits so hard, so unexpectedly, that you start questioning everything. Your plans, your purpose, even your relationship with God. This is the season where nothing feels stable. The job you depended on falls apart. A relationship you believed would last begins to crumble. Doors you prayed for close without warning. Your emotions swing between fear, confusion, exhaustion, and silence. And it's in this place, this fire, that you begin to ask God the hardest question, Lord, why are you allowing this? Why now? The truth is, God tests your faith not to break you, but to build you. 1 Peter 1 verses 6 to 7 says that your faith, tested by fire, is more precious than gold. And gold doesn't get refined gently. It gets placed in intense heat until every impurity rises to the surface. That's what this season feels like. Heat, pressure, stripping away of everything you once leaned on. God allows this shaking because what he's about to put in your hands requires a stronger, deeper, unshakable faith. Look at Scripture. Before Abraham became the father of nations, he waited decades with no visible sign of the promise. Genesis 15 to 21. Before Joseph ruled Egypt, he was betrayed, enslaved, and forgotten. Genesis 39 to 41. Before Jesus rose, he was crucified. Before the breakthrough, there's always a breaking. Before the elevation, there's always a test. This test often comes in layers. Your faith in God's timing is tested when everything is delayed. Your faith in God's goodness is tested when everything feels unfair. Your faith in God's plan is tested when nothing makes sense. Your faith in yourself is tested when you feel weak, unqualified, or alone. And yet, in the middle of the storm, God whispers, I'm not punishing you. I'm preparing you. I'm not silent. I'm strengthening you. Hold on. I am in this with you. Faith doesn't grow on the mountaintop. It grows in the valley where you can't see the outcome. Hebrews 11 verse 1 says, Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. If you could see the path clearly, it wouldn't require faith. If everything made sense, you wouldn't need to trust. God allows the confusion not to torment you, but to teach you that his character is more trustworthy than your circumstances. This test is painful, yes, but it is purposeful. God is using the pressure to shape you into the person who can handle the blessing you've been praying for. The blessing isn't just about receiving, it's about becoming. And right now, he's building in you the spiritual muscle, patience, endurance, and maturity needed for the level you're stepping into. So if your faith feels like it's being stretched to the breaking point, don't assume you're losing. This is one of the clearest signs you're closer to your breakthrough than ever before. God is strengthening your foundation because what he's building in your life is going to stand tall. And he would say to you, don't give up. What I am preparing for you is bigger than what you're facing. Trust me through the fire, because the fire is producing the faith your future requires. Sign 2. you face heavy spiritual and emotional attacks. Another painful sign that God is preparing to release something big into your life is this. You begin facing spiritual and emotional attacks that feel heavier than anything you have ever dealt with before. These are not light or ordinary struggles. They come suddenly, like waves hitting from every direction, bringing fear, discouragement, confusion, loneliness, insecurity. It feels as if everything is pushing against you at once, without warning and without mercy. These attacks often show up at the very moment you try to pray more, grow more, focus more, or step toward what God placed on your heart. The moment you say within yourself that you want to change, it feels as though the enemy rises up to stop you. Ephesians 6 verse 12 reminds us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces. This means what you are feeling is not only emotional, it is spiritual. The enemy does not waste energy on people who pose no threat. The pressure increased because your calling increased. The attack intensified because your breakthrough is closer than you think. These attacks can take many forms. You may experience mental warfare through intrusive thoughts, anxiety, panic, or lies about your identity. You may feel an unexplained emotional heaviness that sits on your chest like a weight. You may face sudden misunderstandings or tension in your relationships. You may go through financial strain, unexpected loss, or setbacks. You may feel spiritual dryness, as if prayer has become harder and worship feels empty. The goal of the enemy is simple: to distract you, to drain you, and to make you doubt what God has already spoken. John 10 verse 10 tells us that the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. One of the enemy's greatest targets is your focus and your confidence. But in the middle of the attack, God whispers to your heart that this battle is not your defeat. It is your confirmation. You are being opposed because you are advancing. Just as Daniel's prayers were delayed by spiritual resistance in Daniel chapter 10, there are moments when pressure increases simply because heaven is moving on your behalf. Darkness often fights hardest when light is about to break through. So do not assume the attack means God has left you. Let it remind you that God is with you and that something is shifting in your favor. Put on the full armor of God, as described in Ephesians 6. Stand firm. Pray even when you feel nothing. Worship even when you feel weak. Every attack you survive becomes evidence that the enemy could not stop what God has already begun. And God says in the quiet of your spirit that He is protecting you, He is fighting for you, and what is coming is worth this battle. Sign 3. People leaving your life. One of the hardest signs that God is preparing you for something big is that people begin leaving your life, sometimes quietly, sometimes painfully, and often without giving any reason. This kind of loss cuts deeply because it affects your heart, your identity, and your sense of belonging. It usually begins slowly. A friend you trusted becomes distant. Someone who once supported you now seems irritated, jealous, or cold. A relationship you believed would last suddenly weakens without warning. People stop calling, stop checking in, stop showing up the way they used to. And you are left wondering what you did wrong. But the truth is this: when God elevates you, He also separates you. Not everyone is meant to go where He is taking you. John 15 verse 2 says that God prunes every branch that does not bear fruit. And He also prunes the healthy branches so they can bear even more fruit. Pruning is not only about habits or mindsets. Sometimes it is about people. There are people in your life who cannot handle the future version of you. They love the version of you who played small or doubted yourself. But the stronger, wiser, bolder version God is shaping would intimidate them or expose their own insecurities. They are not equipped to walk with the person you are becoming. There are also people whose motives or character would sabotage your elevation. They look supportive on the surface, but their presence would slow you down or pull you back. God sees what you do not, and He removes them to protect your next season. And then there are people whose assignment in your life has simply ended. They were meant to walk with you for a season, not a lifetime. They were not bad. They were temporary. Just as Abraham and Lot had to part ways before God could fully bless Abraham in Genesis 13, God sometimes brings separation not as punishment, but as protection. He knows who will support your purpose and who will drain it. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it feels like loss. But heaven quietly reminds you not to chase what God is removing. He is making room for better alignment, for relationships that match your destiny, not your past. So when people walk away, resist the urge to beg them to stay. Bless them. Release them. Trust that God is clearing the path so you can walk freely into what He prepared for you. And in the stillness of your heart, God says that He is not taking people away to leave you empty. He is creating space for the ones who are meant for your future. Sign 4. Closed doors and failed plans. Another significant sign that God is preparing you for something larger is that doors which once opened easily now begin to close, and plans you were certain about suddenly fall apart. This season can feel discouraging and disorienting because it seems like everything you worked for is slipping through your fingers. You try to push forward, but each step meets resistance. Opportunities collapse. Promises dissolve. Even the things you believed were God's will begin to shut down around you. This is when the questions rise inside you. Why did this happen? What did I do wrong? What is God trying to tell me? But often, closed doors are not punishment. They are protection. When God closes a door, it is because He sees something you cannot. He sees the trap behind the opportunity. He sees the delay behind the desire. He sees the danger behind the dream. His silence is not rejection. His no is not absence. It is redirection. Revelation 3 states that God opens doors no one can shut and shuts doors no one can open. Proverbs 16 declares that a person may plan their steps, but the Lord directs their path. Isaiah reminds us that His ways are higher than ours. These verses reveal a truth that becomes clearer only through experience. Sometimes God keeps you from what you want so He can lead you to what you need. A closed job offer may protect you from an unhealthy environment. A failed relationship may save you from lifelong heartbreak. A collapsed plan may free your hands for something far better. God removes what looks good to you so He can give what is truly best for you. It hurts, but this is part of divine preparation. If you were still holding on to every door from your past, you would have no room for the new doors God is preparing to open. Closed doors clear the path. Failed plans create space for God's plans. And in the quiet moments when the disappointment feels heavy, God gently speaks to your spirit that He is not taking anything away to leave you empty. He is rearranging your steps so you can walk into a future designed with purpose, protection, and promise. Sign 5. Holy restlessness inside you. Another sign that God is preparing you for something greater is the rising sense of restlessness deep within you. This is not ordinary discomfort. It is not boredom or frustration. It is a holy uneasiness that whispers to your soul that you no longer belong where you are. Even though nothing dramatic has changed around you, everything inside of you feels different. You look at the same job, the same circle, the same places you used to love, and suddenly they no longer feel like home. Conversations that once excited you now feel empty. Achievements that once made you proud no longer satisfy. You feel a pull towards something more, yet you cannot define what more is. This restlessness is not an accident. It is a divine signal. Isaiah 43 says that God is doing a new thing, and the question is whether you perceive it. Philippians 3 reminds us to press forward toward the high calling. When God begins shifting you into a new season, He will not let you stay comfortable in a place you have outgrown. He disturbs the nest so you will not settle in a temporary season. He allows the discomfort to push you forward. This restlessness is evidence that God is preparing your heart before He reveals your next step. It is His way of awakening your spirit so you do not remain in smallness or stagnation. It is the internal push that keeps you from shrinking back into what is familiar. Many try to silence this feeling through distraction, busyness, or denial. But the more you try to ignore it, the louder it becomes. It speaks to you in the quiet of the night and in the stillness of the morning. It follows you through your daily routine, reminding you that you were created for more. This is not meant to frustrate you. It is meant to prepare you. And God speaks gently into this restlessness telling you that he is not unsettling you to punish you, but to move you. He is stretching your spirit because he is calling you higher, preparing you for what is coming next. Sign 6. Unusual confirmations. Another sign that God is preparing you for something big is that you begin receiving unusual confirmations. These are moments when the same message keeps appearing in different forms, as if heaven is trying to get your attention. It may come through a sermon, a conversation, a song, a scripture, or even a stranger's words that mirror exactly what has been stirring in your heart. These are not coincidences. They are divine echoes. You may be thinking about making a decision, and suddenly everywhere you look, you see signs pointing in the same direction. You may feel uncertain, but a deep peace settles over a choice that does not make sense logically. You might experience dreams, impressions, or ideas that carry a weight you cannot explain. These moments feel too precise and too timely to be random. Scripture teaches that every matter is established by 2 or 3 witnesses in 2 Corinthians 13. In 1 Samuel 3, God calls Samuel repeatedly until he recognizes his voice. John 10 says that God's sheep hear his voice. These confirmations are God's way of strengthening your faith and guiding your steps. God knows doubt tries to creep in. He knows the enemy whispers lies. He knows fear clouds judgment. So he repeats the message until it sinks in, not to overwhelm you, but to assure you that he is speaking and that he is leading you. The question is whether you are paying attention. Many pray for direction, but ignore the confirmations God already sent. These signs are not meant to be dismissed. They are invitations to trust, to listen, and to move. And in these moments of clarity, God speaks softly to your spirit, reminding you that he is not trying to confuse you. He's preparing you. He is aligning circumstances so you do not miss what he has planned. His confirmations are not just reassurance. They are instructions pointing you toward the next step in your destiny. Sign 7. Unexpected opportunities appearing. Another sign that God is preparing you for something big is that unexpected opportunities begin to appear in your life. These opportunities come suddenly, often from places you never pursued, and they arrive at moments you did not anticipate. After seasons of closed doors, spiritual attacks, emotional heaviness, and inner restlessness, something shifts. Doors that were shut begin to open. People you never imagined meeting cross your path. Offers arrive without you chasing them. The timing feels too perfect to be coincidence. These moments are what many call divine alignment. They are reminders that God can orchestrate connections, timing, and circumstances beyond anything you could arrange yourself. Revelation chapter 3 says that God sets before you an open door, and no one can shut it. Psalm 75 declares that promotion does not come from the east or west, but from the Lord. Joseph went from prison to palace in a single day in Genesis chapter 41. When God decides it is your time, no force can stop what he has prepared. These opportunities may feel unfamiliar or even intimidating. They might require courage, a step of faith, or a willingness to leave comfort behind. They might not look like what you imagined, yet something in your spirit recognizes them as moments sent by God. He does not just drop blessings into your hands. He presents doors and waits to see whether you have the faith to walk through them. This sign is often subtle at first. A conversation that leads to a new direction. A recommendation that opens a door. A chance to try something you had given up on. But as these opportunities unfold, you begin to sense that God is moving you into a new chapter. And in these moments, God gently assures your heart that this opening is not an accident. It is the unfolding of his purpose. He has been preparing you in the hidden places so that you are ready to step into what he is now placing before you. What once felt out of reach suddenly becomes possible because he has made the way. When you look at all these signs together, the message becomes clear. Your pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to position you. The attacks, the losses, the closed doors, the restlessness, the confirmations, and the unexpected opportunities are all part of a divine process. They show that God has been shaping you and preparing you for something greater. Romans 8 reminds us that God works all things for good, even the moments that broke your heart or made you question your strength. None of it was wasted. Your struggles built resilience. Your losses made room for new blessings. Your tests strengthened your faith. You were not being abandoned. You were being positioned. So trust the process. Stay faithful. Walk forward knowing the same God who carried you through the fire is leading you into your breakthrough. The pain was preparation, and the blessing ahead has been planned for you all along.